Greetings and welcome to the National Weather Service office in Peachtree City's weekly weather briefing for July 1st, 2021. For the upcoming week, obviously our focus lands in two different locations, one being the Independence Day weekend. We do have a cold front moving through north and central Georgia on Friday and on Saturday. This will bring essentially a dry weekend expected across North Georgia, and only some isolated to scattered thunderstorms for central Georgia on July 4th. Our other area of focus will be the potential impacts next week of Tropical Storm Elsa, which will likely be impacting portions of the eastern Gulf of Mexico by early to midweek next week. Taking a look at the current conditions, Georgia remains under the western edge of a large ridge of high pressure over the western Atlantic, but we do have a cold front setting up to the north of us. You can see it there across the Ohio River Valley and the Great Lakes region. That is expected to begin moving south and move across North Georgia late tonight through tomorrow, at least the first half of the day tomorrow, and move into central Georgia as we go into tomorrow evening. If we take a look for today, we are seeing an area of potential heavier rain north of Georgia as the cold front starts to approach. As it starts moving in early tomorrow, the better chance for excessive rainfall does shift east of us, so we should be looking at small chances for any kind of flooding rains with this system. By Saturday, the front has pushed almost through central Georgia and is starting to become stationary somewhere in the south or central Georgia area. But it has taken most of the precipitation south of us. For Sunday on the 4th of July, that stationary front remains somewhere in the central to south Georgia area. Exactly how far south it gets is still at least a little uncertain. But the majority of the rainfall, the showers, and the thunderstorms should remain along and south of that, which leaves the majority of north and central Georgia dry on the 4th of July. That front remains in place on Monday, again keeping the better chances of rain south of our area, or at least along the southern fringes of our area. As we get into Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, that front is washing out. We remain under the western edge of that large surface ridge of high pressure, but we can see down here hints of what may be impacting the eastern Gulf of Mexico as we go into the middle of next week, and that would be Tropical Storm Elsa. Focusing back on the weather for this weekend, for today we are looking at general thunder. We don't have a noticeable risk for, or an elevated risk for, severe weather, but this is Georgia and it is July, so a few of the storms this afternoon could be strong. We could see some wind gusts up to 40 miles per hour, some areas of frequent lightning and heavy rainfall. Timing of this mainly afternoon and evening as this stuff starts to get cranked up over the area. The chances will remain a bit higher across the far north as we go through the overnight period as that cold front approaches. For tomorrow, again, we're not seeing much of an elevated risk for severe weather, but again, we could see some strong storms, some storms becoming borderline on severe, wind gusts up to 40 miles per hour, frequent lightning, and again locally heavy rain. Timing on the storms tomorrow, the far north, it'll be ongoing around sunrise, but the chances and the coverage will be decreasing as we get after midday. Along the I-85 corridor and southward, mid to late morning through the afternoon is the prime time for thunderstorm coverage. And then as we get into central Georgia, the Columbus, Macon, Vidalia area, we're looking at mainly afternoon and evening again, although you couldn't rule out some isolated storms in the morning. On Saturday, as that front starts to become stationary across the area, the chance for even general thunder right now appears to be suppressed to maybe around the Columbus to Vidalia area and southward. And again, not much of a risk for any widespread severe weather, at least. Any storms that do develop along that southern edge, we can still see some wind gusts, up to 40 miles per hour and frequent lightning. The chances for heavier rain go down, but there's still a risk of a few isolated, localized areas of 1 to 2 inches with some of these storms. Again, the timing will be mainly during the afternoon and evening, although with the front in the area, you couldn't rule out an isolated storm at any time during the day. On Sunday, the day 4 through day 8 severe weather outlooks are more of a broad brush. It doesn't really show where we're expecting general thunder, and that'll be roughly where it was Saturday, from Columbus to Vidalia southward. The chances for any severe weather are still very slim, but we would see the chance of wind gusts 40 miles per hour, frequent lightning, locally heavy rain with any storms that occur. And that continues really through next week. We will see the chance for some isolated to scattered, mainly afternoon and evening. Thunderstorms start to return from the south to the north, and by the time we get into, say, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and even Thursday of next week, it's pretty much across our area. Of course, this could change if there are any changes to the ultimate path of Tropical Storm Elsa. This is the latest forecast, fresh off the presses from the National Hurricane Center at 11 a.m. Currently, sustained winds are around 45 miles per hour, but it's well out in the Atlantic. The storm is moving fairly quickly westward at about 28 miles per hour. That's supposed to continue for a while, and that will limit somewhat the chances for this storm to significantly increase in strength as it approaches the Caribbean islands. About the time it starts slowing down, it's interacting with those islands. So again, through the 5-day forecast on this, they keep it at tropical storm strength. Now they do push through a portion of this forecast up to about 60 miles per hour. But with the speed of the storm, with the interaction with the islands right now, there's some uncertainty on the potential for strengthening. There also remains a good bit of uncertainty on the ultimate path of this storm. And that brings us to our key messages for Tropical Storm Elsa. Obviously the impacts on the islands and so forth, but for us, the main impact here, or the main message, is the forecast uncertainty remains larger than usual due to the speed of the storm's motion and its interaction with the islands as it moves through here. The medium range computer models are also showing quite a bit of spread on when it's going to start its turn and how much of a turn it will make. But a good consensus right now is that the storm will be approaching southwest Florida by the time we get into early Tuesday. Looking on the overall picture of the tropics over the next 5 days, that's really all they're looking at right now. is Elsa. There was a weaker wave out ahead of Elsa, but that has really lost its identity. They're really not tracking that anymore. So for right now, we are looking at the main focus in the tropics being Elsa, and nothing really on the horizon as of now. With the rainfall coming through, we'll take a look at some of the hydrological issues we may encounter coming up. This is the last 24 hours of precipitation. We did have some isolated 1 to 1.5 inches across the north and the southern fringes of our area in the past 24 hours. Nothing extreme. Right now, we're looking at all of our gauges on our major rivers and most of our smaller streams that are at or even a little bit below normal stream flow, which gives us a good capability for absorbing some of this rain as it comes through. See the yellow box around the gauge? That's the gauge at Alpharetta on Big Creek. That's the only one with the forecast rainfall that we have coming with this front that's expected to potentially get near bank full, but it is not forecast to go to flood at this time. Some specifics: the forecast rainfall for today is generally about 1/10 to 1/2 of an inch. We will see some areas across the far north that could see localized amounts of 1 inch or more. As the system spreads across tomorrow, we start seeing a little bit broader coverage of, say, 1/2 inch to 1 inch, and some localized amounts in the far north, with that frontal system coming in of up to 2 or more inches, but that should be localized. As we shift into Saturday, we see as the front pushes through that most of that precipitation potential is right along the southern portions of our forecast area or south. Sunday and Monday the same. Most of the light amounts that have started to spread back north, that's more of the Monday time frame, as that isolated to scattered afternoon and evening thunderstorm potential starts creeping back to the north as that front dissipates across South Georgia. And then Tuesday and Wednesday of next week, again, this is a 2-day total, but it reflects really just the accumulation of any scattered afternoon and evening thunderstorms that we may see. Looking out on the horizon for the week following this upcoming week, 8 to 14-day outlook, no specific trend on temperatures. We should be near normal, and it does look like we may be leaning towards a little bit above normal, at least a greater chance for some above normal precipitation through that period. In summary, we have the cold front moving through Friday and Saturday, bringing thunderstorm activity to the area, but behind it bringing us some dry weather for the upcoming 4th of July weekend. Tropical Storm Elsa next week will likely be impacting parts of the eastern Gulf of Mexico. Confidence remains fairly low on the exact path and strength. Encourage everyone to keep up to date on the latest from the National Hurricane Center throughout the upcoming days. Link here on the National Hurricane Center. That concludes our briefing for this week. We thank you for attending.